Another video, and this is my June's finds video. So this is going to be the stuff that excluded all the records I brought at the Leeds meetup earlier in June. So it's not that many records. It's a mixture of prog and rock, normal stuff I get. However, June was a significant month. It was my birthday, my 60th birthday. So I'll show a couple of records I brought with vouchers that I received and a special gift that I got from my niece. So first up, we'll start with the cheap bins, and I found a copy of Belladonna by Stevie Nicks for a couple of quid. And basically, you can tell from the front here the cover's a bit knackered, and you look at the back, it's even worse. Record plays fine. That's the important thing. This is Nicks's debut solo album, released in 1981, produced by Jimmy Iovine, and features probably significant contribution from Tom Petty with "Stop Dragging My Heart," which was a big hit single in the US. Stevie Nicks, an icon in US, member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for both being in Fleetwood Mac and her solo work. So I was really pleased to find this. Thought I'd take a punt, £2, and yeah, happy with that. Next up, this is the Motels, and this is All For One. This came out in 1982. The Motels, how can I describe them? Sort of like new wave, but more more soft new wave, soft rock, sort of typical American thing at that time. Led by Martha Davis, great voice. The big hit off here was "Only the Lonely" in America. It got play in the UK as well. It does feature Brian Glascock on drums, who was from the UK, brother of John, who played with Jethro Tull. Yeah, this is all right, for a couple of quid. I ain't going to say no. I've got another Motels album as well in the collection. I do remember them quite fondly, and they did appear on Rock Goes to College, which was quite a popular programme on the BBC in the late 70s, early 80s, where basically, as it said, it filled bands in concerts at colleges and universities. In those days, if a band played at university, you had to be part of the student union for most of these places to actually attend, which angered a lot of people. But there you go. But that's the Motels. Before my birthday, Pete gave me a rather interesting record. He said some of this music will appeal to you. It's The Recorder. Now, this was released in Bristol. This is basically it's basically a album and a music magazine in one. Looking up on Discogs, I believe there's just 4 of these were ever made. So you've got the record, but you also get, if I do this rightly, a magazine as well. Now, the big selling point on this record is the fact that it features live tracks from Peter Gabriel. They did an interview with him, and this came out in 1981. So these are the days where I suppose you could ask a record company, if you've got any spare tracks floating around. And these are just free tracks. The tracks featured Not One of Us, Humdrum, Ain't That Peculiar. Also, and amazing, the magazine itself, if I remember rightly, it features an interview with Echo and the Bunnymen, Tiswas, which was in the early 80s, if you're of a certain age, was a very popular Saturday morning show aimed at kids, but the adults loved it more. Bristol Slaves, Days of Slavery, and it popped up again during the Black Lives Matter movement. conspiracy theories, but it also features tracks from bands like Fish Food, Radicals, the Excerpts, and the Welders, and it's very much sort of like post-punk. A lot of it, sort of thing I would have been listening to on Peel, or maybe Kid Jensen or Richard Skinner, whoever's on at that time. Really pleasing find. So I was right, present. It obviously plugged a lot of Bristol, around the Bristol area as well. So I was really pleased to have this. It's very much an artifact of its time, and it's maybe if you were around the Bristol area at that time, if you do remember it. Band that don't have too much of is Camel, and this is the collection. This is part of the Castle Communications Collector Series. Came out in 1985. It's effectively, it's I wouldn't say greatest hits, because Camel weren't a band that had hits, but it's sort of a best of. So it's basically, the tracks are all from the 70s. Got the licensing through Decca. Camel were on Decca Records at that time. Probably the best known stuff is from the Snow Goose, which is on side 3. But yeah, it's a band that I need to dig out a little bit more about. So pleased to have that. I'm very pleased to find this. This is Locomotive GT. They're a prog band from Hungary. And this is a UK-ish release, and it basically features the tracks from the first 3 Hungarian releases. It is sing in English. During the 70s, Hungary probably might not have been the most liberal regimes. They were all communist regimes around that time, but did allow bands to go out to the West and record and play live, sort of export their music. And this is really good stuff, actually. That's the band on the back. I'd seen them on various YouTube videos and whatever, so when I saw it, and I thought, I love that. It's really good. I do like it. I'm happy again, another band I would happy to seek out more of. Now, in my Cull video and my Leeds video, I ended up having picked up a record that I already got by this band, but this one album I knew I didn't have. This is AC/DC's Flick of the Switch. This came out in 1983. This is very much a reaction to For Those About to Rock. I think the band felt it was overproduced by Mutt Lange, so they got round to just producing themselves. And it was a difficult album, because around this time Phil Rudd was left, booted out, whichever. He was having all sorts of issues. On here, Rising Power, This House Is on Fire, Nervous Shakedown, I think that was a hit. It might have been a hit single. Guns for Hire was. Bedlam in Belgium, Badlands. It's a very rougher sounding album. I think it was deliberate that it was a rough sounding album, but I think at this point, it was the beginning when they lost their way, and when they followed it up with Fly on the Wall, it sort of, to me, highlighted the fact that they had lost their way a little bit. Success can do funny things to people. You get it, and then you suddenly find it's not quite what you expect. There was nothing wrong with For Those About to Rock, to be honest. I think it was just the fact I think he came too quick after Back in Black. If they took a bit of time over it, yeah, it would have been a better album. And maybe if they did the same with Flick of the Switch, it would have been a sound of better album. It's not one of their best albums, but it's okay. We have Spooky Tooth, The Last Puff, and it's featuring Mike Harrison, and I believe this is the last album he appeared on. The lineup's still there, because we've got Mike Harrison, he's still got Luther Grosvenor, Henry McCulloch on guitars, Chris Staten on bass. He co-produces the album with Chris Blackwell. So I think that's an idea how much Chris Blackwell thought of the band. He probably wouldn't have got involved in production if he didn't think much of them. And then you got Alan Spencer and Mike Kelly as well. But as I said, this is pretty much Harrison's last album with the band. Does feature their opening track is their version of I Am the Walrus, which they eke out to 6 minutes 20 seconds. The statement influence comes with a Joe Cocker song, Something to Say. They even cover an Elton John song, Son of Your Father, on there, and there's David Ackles and Downriver. The last puff, the top track's written by Stain himself. So it may be a band that's not quite losing its direction a little bit. It's not a bad album. I was happy to pick it up. You know, these Spooky Tooth albums are quite rare to find. So, yeah, pleased to pick that one up. So, as I mentioned, it was my birthday last month, and it was significant. I turned 60. I didn't think how I'd feel about it, but I look at it as though it's a chance to move forward. You know, retirement will be coming up soon, hopefully, or planning for retirement. You know, it's the fact. Also last month I paid my mortgage off, so yeah, it's all win. It's all positive. Part of the birthday, I had some gift vouchers, and I brought a couple of records, more new releases, and potentially albums of the year. This is a real strong contender to be album of the year. This is More by Pulp. The first album in, I would say, 23 years. Got to number one. And it's very much a return to form. It's very much up there with Different Class. It's not as good as Different Class, but it's up there. The lead single, which was Spike Island. There's some great songs on here. I love the last track, A Sunset. It's a very reflective song. My Sex Got to Have Love. Jarvis Cocker's been Jarvis Cocker. And as I said, this album got to number one, and it's they appeared at the Glastonbury Festival. They were the surprise guest, which was not a surprise because everyone knew they were going to play. I've yet to see that. I didn't catch it live. I was out at the time. But yeah, this is just absolutely brilliant. It is up there to be album of the year. If not that, then this by Sparks, Mad. Came out in May. I can't remember how many albums they've produced, but I've produced a lot, and I've got quite a few of them. But again, this is another wonderful album. Both with the Pulp and this, when they were released, I put it on onto my phone. I streamed it onto my phone and just played it constantly throughout the month. And yeah, this is wonderful. My Devotion, Lord Have Mercy, a little bit like Banter, Drowned in a Sea of Tears, Doing Things My Own Way. I'm just reading the tracks off there. It's just typical Sparks. It's bonkers, but it's wonderful. And they are a band to treasure. They are a band to treasure. So yeah, that could be the album of the year. It'll depend on my mood come December when I do the video. I had a special gift. I had gifts obviously for my birthday, some vouchers, some various things, bits and bobs. I had money from work that I did a collection. That's what went on the Leeds meetup. But from my niece, and this probably touched me more than anything. I had this, and it's obviously a turntable mat. It's got Whitty Records, Birmingham music, UK music, made in 1965. Playing the best. Playing all the best tunes in all of Brum. I'm going to put that in a frame and put that on my wall. Yeah, I was really touched by that. Thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, I'll reciprocate that when it's your birthday this month. So there you go, VC. Those are what I brought in June. Hope you all had fruitful months as well. So there you go. If you like what you see, thumbs up, thumbs down. Love the interaction. Feel free to leave a comment. I will get back to you. So the sun is shining still. Whatever you get to, this coming weekend. Make sure it's a good one. Take care of yourselves. Keep spinning. More importantly, keep on smiling.